call is now being recorded.
Maria Caso, you're the production designer for the DirecTV series Kingdom, which is set in the world of mixed martial arts. First off, how did you first get involved on the show?
Well, I went in for an interview a couple of years ago, and I met Byron, and I fell in love with the script, and so it worked out really well. You know, they looked at my portfolio, and I wanted to do the show, and so it just came to fruition, so it was perfect timing.
Did you have much familiarity with mixed martial arts before signing on to the show at all?
No, I did not. But before I went in for the interview, I've always been so fascinated with that world, so I did a lot of research, and I told my agent, I just said this is something that I would really love to do, you know, because I can relate to all of those characters. When I read Byron's script, I was just taken aback I was really inspired because Byron, he captures, you know, those characters so well, and so I fell in love with the script, and I said, I have to do this show. It's my show. Yeah. So it was just meant to be.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you're designing, you know, as a production designer, you create and design the worlds these characters inhabit. So, you know, even though your work is basically the setting of the show, is there a lot of character work that goes into even just designing the sets?
Yes. Yes, what happens is, well, for me, I'm a designer for the characters, so I am inspired by real stories, you know. So I want to work on shows where, you know, the characters they're not fluff shows, you know. There are stories about real people, which this is. So this particular show I love because these characters, they're living real life and they're dealing with struggles and you know, so we research all of that, you know. We want to find out who the characters are and, you know, who they were and where they're going. And so for these MMA fighters, you know, when I read it, I thought, oh my gosh, these characters, they're dreamers and they're trying to survive, and they're getting beaten down and they're pick themselves up and they keep going. It's life. It's like a life struggle. And so there's a truthfulness for these characters that inspired me. And, you know, I don't know, just the way that Byron writes, he just captures, you know, that so well. You know, I guess what it is they're so raw. That's what it is. They're raw. And for me, those types of struggles and experiences and relationships, I want to study those things and design for those people because it's real life, you know. So that's what we do. We study each character and, you know, try to process, you know, who the character is, and then we design a world. I don't even like saying design, you know, try to create a world that, you know, is evolving and growing just the way the character is.
Yeah, and these characters on the show are pretty, you know, it's a lot of intensity, it's a lot of struggle, it's a lot of personal demons, you know, and the tone of the show is fairly gritty. So how do you know, translate that into, you know, specific settings? You know, was there any particular details that you thought, okay, this character, you know, brings to mind this sort of detail that you wanted to bring into the set?
Well, I think for me, you know, like the characters they're just, first of all, these actors on the show, they're so talented, you know, because these are really complex roles, and they're so authentic the way they deliver the role. So when we're sitting in our office, you know, as an art department, we're trying to honor, you know, what they're trying to do. And so, I think, you know, because they're fearless, just the way that character is and the way the actors are playing the role, that we're trying to be equally fearless. And I guess, we're trying to, like, probably I could say design, with it like a truthfulness that they're delivering in their acting, Like, I guess when I think about it, I think I'm trying to design with a respectful heart and honor, the passion that they have for the character.
Yeah, and one of the most important locations on the show is really the Navy Street Gym, where so much of the action takes place and where the characters train. And that's such a major part of these characters' lives. What was your starting point in the process of creating that location?
Well, when we started creating that location, I met with the MMA fighters, Jackson, and I met with Joe Daddy, and I spoke to Byron, and we talked to a lot of, real MMA fighters, and we were talking about what the gym is for them. And basically, it's their whole entire world. So I thought, okay, how can I make this place, someone's whole entire world? And that's the way that I started out, thinking about how to design it and what that means, because these fighters, they go there and they live in the gym, and, their whole entire lives are in that building and that structure. And so that was the beginning of how, I tried to figure out what it would be. And, there's like a simplicity to these MMA fighters, because it's something beautiful, and it's all about real life struggles. And so I stood in that space and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to just make this place, a truthful, real, respectful place, to honor that kind of, with their embracing. It's basically a whole world that is growing and evolving, and I wanted it to be rich and show, all of the things that they're going through, their struggles, and as a character.
You mentioned that you weren't that familiar with MMA going in, but, in the process of learning more about it and meeting MMA fighters and designing, this gym and these sets, did you develop a newfound appreciation for it in real life? Did you become a fan?
Yes. Yeah, I think that, like ever since I got in the film business, I think these people are fearless. And that was one of the reasons that I really connected with them, because you have to be fearless to survive in that world, and all the beatings emotionally and spiritually, and just as a person, they're survivors. And I think that is something that I could relate to. And so, I really, have a love and appreciation now that I didn't before, just by working with them and embracing, their life challenges. It's been really a beautiful thing for me. And I love the show, because the characters are raw, and I just feel that they're open to, they open up in a way that other characters don't on other shows. And so, it's something really special for me. I love the way that Byron captures that, that rawness, and the way that the actors live it. It's something really beautiful. And there's two actors on the show. Matt Lauria, he plays Ryan Wheeler. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan Tucker, he plays Jay Colina. And those two actors are constantly expressing their gratitude to me, and they take the time to come and tell me, they notice all of the little things on the set, and, they'll point out, like silly things like the texture, and I think by them showing appreciation for the hard work that my crew does, that, I'm grateful to work with all of them. But, you know, I love that the actors are inspired by our sets.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a bonus, especially when, you know, I mean, you know, those actors, you know, all the actors on the show, you know, before they even came on the show, they were already in fairly, you know, very good shape. So it's nice for them to have like a gym to come on set for, to act on and maybe even use personally.
Yeah, I think they really like being there. But anyway, it's been an amazing experience, and I wish it would go on forever, you know, because it's such a great group of people and talented group. And my crew, I have such a great crew, and they're there because they love the show, and, you know, they have passion for the show. It's not just a job, you know. Like sometimes you have to take a job, but for us, this is not a job. You know, we love this show and this group of people. So we feel really blessed that we can work with all of them again this year. We're excited.
Before Kingdom, you worked on other shows, and you know, one of the major shows you worked on was Deadwood, and you earned 3 Emmy nominations for that, and you actually won in 2005. And that was such a different kind of show. It's a period Western. How does working on a period show like that compare to doing the production design for a contemporary series like Kingdom?
I don't think it's any different, because I just go in and I you know, try to capture who the characters are. So I think I just try to design with respectful heart. So what I do is I go in and I just learn who the characters are. So it's not different for me, because what I'm trying to do on that show as well as this show is I'm trying to tell the richest story, and I want to serve the characters with our sets and create a world that's really real. So it doesn't matter if it's a Western or whatever show it is, you know, I approach it the same way. But as far as the design process, you know, when we're designing, after I get to know the characters, we start, you know, my whole team, we start researching, and, you know, we'll design computer renderings or sketches, and we'll make little models, and we'll have drawings, and so that's like the technical part of it, you know.
What's interesting is, you know, when you look at awards and stuff like that, you know, when it comes to production design, we often see period design and fantasy design get a lot of the attention, and contemporary design, you know, which, as you mentioned, is you know, isn't always even a different working process, or isn't any less hard work. It doesn't. Do you think that sometimes the contemporary design deserves to get more recognition than it does from some of these awards and a lot of the attention that those get?
Well, I do know this. I know that many times, for example, when we're working on Kingdom and the way that we're approaching it, we're trying to make the sets look so real that you don't even notice them. And I know that that could be part of the problem, you know, because when you walk onto like a gritty gym set that we designed, or, you know, a dumpy hotel, or, you know, something like that people don't even realize that you actually design that. You know, it's when you're designing a modern piece or a Western, people are looking at it and saying, oh yeah, that was designed, obviously. But I think it's a compliment in a way, because if they walk onto the set and they don't understand that you created that world for them and it's so real, then I don't really need an award. I just need to know that the actors are, you know, are in a world that's so real that they're not even noticing that we designed it. And I think that's the biggest compliment in itself. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's sort of one of the interesting ironies of a lot of craft work in film and TV, and creative work behind the scenes, is that a lot of the times the better you do your work, the less people consciously notice it, which is sort of the opposite of what ends up happening at awards.
Right. That's right. It's right. I mean, it's easy to go, I don't want to say easy, but, you know, to go design Deadwood and everyone's seeing that you're designing it. And on Kingdom, it's more complex in a way because it's much more difficult to make that world look gritty and raw and real. But then you're not getting acknowledged for it because it's so real looking and so contemporary, you know. But I love it even more because I think it's more of a challenge. But, you know, they're both, work-wise, they're both the same amount of work. But I think, you know, Kingdom, you know, my work on Kingdom, I think is Emmy worthy, you know, because it's like real life, you know, it's contemporary real life, and it's something that I think is more, there's a more truthfulness to it because it's gritty and down and dirty.
Well, I want to, I want to congratulate you on the show and all your success up to this point, and hopefully several seasons to come of Kingdom.
Oh, thank you so much, and we're so excited, and we can't wait until Kingdom starts again.